all the talk and all the conversation in India is about one squad. We are obsessing over it. And that's the squad that India might meet in the final of the T20 World Cup. Aaron Finch and Tom Moody are here. Let's talk Australia squad, right? Contenders, gents, shall we? Let's go straight at it with the top order. There's Travis Head, David Warner, Mitch Marsh, captain. Jake Fraser-McGurk, a name that's doing the rounds now with serious debate. Steve Smith and Matt Short. Let's start with Steve Smith. Is he a realistic contender for either of you?
I personally think with what Jake Fraser-McGurk has done over the last few weeks has made it very difficult for selectors to go with Steve Smith.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you've got Josh Inglis there as a backup wicketkeeper as well, or can wicketkeep if Matthew Wade doesn't, as a middle order player as well. So there's no need for two similar type players in the middle order together. So it's just unfortunate for Steve.
Jake Fraser-McGurk backup batter or Matthew Short backup batter? Or neither?
I don't think either in the squad. I think that both of them would be in the travelling reserves, obviously outside the 15. I just think that with Australia having a reasonably settled side, I don't think that you can afford to carry too many batters in, because once you start the tournament, you very rarely change your lineup. There might be one spot that changes, and that'll inevitably be a middle order spot. Yeah. So I think that that neither will be in the squad.
The brave call here is if Fraser-McGurk is in your playing 11 at the expense of what you thought was a set opening pair between Head and Warner.
I respectfully differ from Finch's view. I'd have Fraser-McGurk in the 15. I just think it's too compelling what he has done over the past month to ignore, and timing's everything, and his timing is as sweet as it possibly could be. So I'd be having him in my squad. Yes, it's going to be at the expense of a very hard decision on someone else, but that's what happens around World Cups.
I'm going to wait to see what your proposed squad is to see who would miss out for Fraser-McGurk. Let's go to the middle order though. Lots of very good options. Stoinis, Green, Maxwell, the two keeping options in Wade and Inglis, and Tim David. Who from that, Finchy, is a lock-in, and who from that could possibly miss out for you?
I think they're all in. Personally, I think that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You combine that with Head, Warner and Marsh at the top. I think that you've got to balance it there, that you can play 7 genuine batters and 4 bowlers, and that's the way that Australia have tended to go recently. 4 specialist bowlers plus having the spin of Maxwell as a second spinner, and then the medium pace of Marsh, Green or Stoinis, whichever way they structured the team up, to be a 5th bowler.
Yeah. So 2 keepers I think are a safe bet. They will take Wade and Inglis. The question is how many of the remaining all-round options, can you fit all of them in your squad, Tom?
I don't think you can. I think it's a luxury you can't do to enable you to get the balance of getting Fraser-McGurk into the squad.
That's the debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it is to be at the expense of anyone, it'd be one of the all-rounders.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look down the list, Tim David has been a lock there. Cameron Green hasn't played a huge amount. Stoinis hasn't been in the best form, bar that unbelievable 100. So that's where the debate would come if you to get Fraser-McGurk in the squad, I think.
Assuming Mitch Marsh is, of course, going to be fit and lead this Australian team, between Stoinis, Green and David, what is 1, 2, 3 for you? Preference?
As a power hitter, I think Tim David's number 1, in my opinion. And I think probably Marcus Stoinis number 2, purely because his bowling, I think, is going to be more effective on the slower surfaces of the West Indies, with a lot of different cutters. You've got off-cutters, leg cutters and everything to fall back on. I think that's one real positive that's come out of the last probably 12 months, is Marcus Stoinis' bowling has continued to improve. And then Cameron Green 3.
Yeah, because I'm looking at viewers who may not have followed Australia's bilateral cricket or their plans and preparations, and they'd be thinking, oh, Green and Stoinis are better players than Tim David, aren't they? But do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think David is the superior power hitter finisher.
And specialist.
And specialist in that role.
Yep.
Green is a terrific talent, but ideally if Green's playing, you want him in batting in the top 3. I know we've seen him try to fit into roles differently here in the IPL, but that's new to him as well for RCB. But at the end of the day, Green to me is a top order batter option that's either opening or batting at 3 and giving you those overs. Stoinis,
he's almost covered for Mitch Marsh, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Number 3.
Yeah. He is. Where Stoinis is a more of a specialist. Australia have used him as a finisher, I know we've seen him, successfully bat at 3 here in the IPL, but historically for Australia, they see him as a finisher and, as Finchy said, a very, very handy change of pace, stump-to-stump, medium pacer.
Pacers. Let's have a look. Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, all lock-ins.
Yep.
Spencer Johnson, Nathan Ellis, Sean Abbott. Anyone over there who you'd be tempted to take to the Caribbean?
I'd be tempted to take Spencer Johnson. I think Nathan Ellis is the front runner and probably competing for one of the 3 quick spots as well. He's been fantastic every time he's played for Australia. Hasn't featured much, if at all, in the IPL so far. He's been on the sidelines, but Spencer Johnson will be a really interesting one. He'll definitely be on the plane, just not sure whether he'll be in the 15.
Tom?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's a very difficult decision, this one. 2 different bowlers. You've got Spencer Johnson, who's an impact bowler with the new ball, tall swings that can create opportunities early. Hasn't quite got the fine tuning of the death skills yet, even though that he could still bowl at the death. Where Ellis is more conditioned to being your defensive bowler. Bowling that 6th over out of power play and bowling at the end, which is every team welcomes to have depth in options there. So. It's a 50-50 split for that call. I agree, Spencer Johnson will definitely be on that flight, but whether he's actually in the 15 is debatable.
Because you need the left arm cover as well. It's such an asset to have a varied attack with the left arm option there. If Mitchell Starc, who's obviously got a finger injury at the moment, if that keeps happening, he keeps spiking his finger, so that's unfortunate. But I think you just need to have that cover in there as well.
All right.
Because it's not a long tournament.
Yep.
It's not going to be long enough for somebody to bounce back from injury either.
Let's look at the spinners. Adam Zampa, absolute lock-in.
Yep.
Ashton Agar, Tanvir Sangha. Can you have the luxury of 2 spinners in addition to Zampa?
No, there'll only be 1 in the squad, I reckon. But again, that's a really difficult selection call because Sangha, are you ever going to play 2 leg spinners in the same side? Probably not.
No.
Are you ever going to rule Adam Zampa out and then play Sangha straight away? Probably not. So I think that you then have Sangha there as a reserve as well. Probably 4 reserves travel with the side.
Yep.
And Ashton Agar, I think, would be the preferred second spinner in that regard, purely for the left arm spin option, which is so valuable on turning wickets.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he gives you exactly what you need, and that's the angle that the left arm spinner creates to the right-handers. Tall as well, great control, and he'll enjoy, if he gets the opportunity, bowling in the Caribbean where, will support a bit of turn.
All right, let's have a look at what Tom Moody's suggested squad therefore looks like. And he has given the vote to Jake Fraser-McGurk at the expense of the extra all-round option. So no Cameron Green, Tom, in your squad. Rest of it, as we've deducted, has come down to having 3 seamers along with Nathan Ellis's backup, Zampa and Agar as your only spinners in that squad. Happy with that?
Well, it's not a case of I'm happy with it.
After everything that
whether the
Finch
people that have been left.
After Finch told you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a classical, selection debate where you've got to, we use the word respectfully, but you've got to listen to other people's opinions and make a hard call and present your 15. It may not be right, but that's how I feel. I've had to make tough decisions, and I've left Green out, and I've left Spencer Johnson out, but I want them travelling along with Tanvir Sangha. I want them travelling along with Matt Short. They would be my 4 travelling subs.
Sure. And if you're keen on the Fraser-McGurk selection, it only makes sense that you almost give him a run and see how he starts the tournament. Who would he therefore start in front of? If you want to play Fraser-McGurk, who misses out?
Well, that's your opinion, that you think if you're picking him, he's got to be in the 11. I wouldn't have him in the 11 to begin with. I would have David Warner as a seasoned pro starting the World Cup, purely on the basis that, I think experience does go a long way in winning World Cups. And David Warner, whenever he's been put in a corner to prove a point, look at the previous World Cup in Dubai. He had a poor IPL. He was left out of the side. He goes to the World Cup, player of the tournament. End of discussion.
The only change in that squad, though, for you is Cam Green in and no Fraser-McGurk?
Yeah, for me, I would love to get Jake in there just purely by how he's going. But you can't disagree with what Tom just said there about the experience of David Warner. And I don't think that we're going to see a tournament of 250 scores.
Yep.
It will be a different game to what people have seen over the last 5 weeks of IPL, where the ball is just flying all over the park. There'll be an element of it, but it won't be as sustained 20 overs of people just walking in, trying to hit the ball out of the park non-stop. So that's where I think David Warner, as purely an experienced head, a world-class player, is he in his best form? No, but he knows how to get the job done on the big stage.